Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome to another preview where I am going to be speaking about the Everton game, which is coming up very, very shortly. The pressure. The pressure. We've spoken about pressure a few times. Can we handle the pressure? I'll let you determine what the answer is. I think ultimately in recent games, in recent times, let's just say 2025, the answer's been no. But we came back so well against Fulham. And for that reason, I just want to say I had a lot of pride when I was at Craven Cottage. I felt like I believe in this team, that there is a fight and a spirit. And that is all you can ask for sometimes as a match going fan. When it comes to systems and tactics and communication and things like that, these are all things that I am unhappy with as a fan. These are things that I think Maresca can do a lot better at. But there's no doubt that the team are playing for him. They're trying to, they're trying to implement what the manager's obviously telling them to do. They're just struggling to do it. And we can't afford to have many games like Fulham, because you have games like Fulham, you have games like Ipswich. We could have drew against Fulham easily. We could have easily beat Ipswich, but we drew that game. And we don't want to have the same discussion after Everton. Like, I need to see conviction in this team. I need to see conviction. I need to see the team adapt. I need to see the team grow a pair and go to Stamford Bridge against Everton, who we have a great record against at Stamford Bridge. And I need to see domination from the get-go. David Moyes has already commented on facing Chelsea. He said their home record is good, and actually we've not got a great record going to Stamford Bridge over the years either. So from that point of view, we know we're up for a tough game. He is absolutely spot on there. Last season, we beat Everton 6-0. Cole Palmer scored a perfect hat-trick. There is no doubt in my mind that we should be winning the game. But ultimately, all we can do is pray, isn't it? Because you just don't know what's going to happen. You can't predict these things. I thought we were going to drop points against Fulham. We beat them. I thought we were going to easily beat Ipswich. We bottled that game. And yeah, this team has become very difficult to predict. And although we know how we're going to play, we just don't know whether we're going to be any good or not. Looking at the record we've had against Everton in the Premier League, it's a decent record. 129, lost 14, drawn 22. We've obviously scored more goals than they have in those matches. Looking at the recent games that we've had against Everton, the last one was at Goodison Park. That was in December when we drew 0-0. That was the start of this downfall that we have experienced in 2025. We obviously lost to Ipswich within that time frame as well, and we've had many poor results. Before then, obviously, last season, we had that 6-0, which was just a beautiful result. Absolutely loved that game. Do I think we'll win 6-0 again? Unfortunately not. But we can all hope. We can all hope. And before that, Everton beat us 2-0 at Goodison Park in 2023. So that is the record in those games. I think that we need to go into this match with a lot of confidence, a lot of hope. I don't think we're going to get Champions League. I still don't think we're going to get it. But the fact that we can even entertain the conversation is a lot better than what we've had, in previous seasons. Last year, we didn't really think we were ever going to get Champions League, but I think the goals were a little bit lower. I think ultimately all you needed was European football just to put us back in that frame as a team that we are a European club. We should be competing on all fronts. And the year before that, we couldn't even finish in the top half of the table. So very difficult to argue that we should have deserved any form of Champions League football. Let's look at Everton. Let's look at what we're dealing with. Who have they got and who do they not have? Which is important as well, because there is a few injuries that Everton have at the moment. The key one being James Tarkowski, their best centre-back. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. He'll have an operation on his hamstring. He's ruled out, not available. Orel Mangala as well, knee injury, not available. Jesper Lindstrom has a groin hip pelvic injury, not available. Dominic Calvert-Lewin not available, and Armando Broja is unable to face the parent club of Chelsea, so that's why he's not going to be available. So those are some interesting players. I think the key ones, obviously, Calvert-Lewin and James Tarkowski. Now, I spoke with an Everton fan a couple of days ago, and he said to me that without James Tarkowski, when Michael Keane goes into the back line, it's just totally different, and he can't do what Tarkowski does. So that is one thing that I will say straight off the back gives me much more confidence going into this game. Because, look, I do think that when I watch Chelsea play, I think we're one of those teams where when you watch a match, let's just say you're watching as a neutral, it's not about what Chelsea do. It's about what the team we're playing against does. If they play open football like Tottenham, they play into our hands. We do well when we've got a lot of space to operate in. And, when players are pressing, we're quite good at beating the press and, exploiting those spaces. What we don't do well with is playing up against low blocks. And that has been the theme the whole season. It doesn't matter who it is. If they have a low block, we struggle. Have we won some of those games? Yes. Have we struggled in those games? Yes. And we've dropped an awful lot of points in those games as well. I wouldn't be surprised if Everton went into this game with a low block looking for a draw. That would not surprise me one bit. But the fact that they don't have their best centre-back available is a huge plus from a Chelsea perspective. So I think we need to look at that and think, okay, maybe there's a little bit more that we can have a go at in terms of this Everton team. They're obviously pretty confident since David Moyes has come back. He has reinvigorated a number of players, Beto being one of them. Did absolutely nothing under Sean Dyche. As soon as David Moyes came into the fold, Beto started scoring goals. And if you look at their top scorers this season, Beto's their second highest scorer in the Premier League. And Dia as well is a great looking player, very skillful. He could potentially cause us some problems. You've got Dwight McNeil as well. We know him from Burnley. He's been at Everton for a while. So look, they do have a goal threat, not a massive goal threat, but a better goal threat under David Moyes than what they had under Sean Dyche. And for that reason, I think we can take Everton a little bit more seriously. If Sean Dyche was coming to Stamford Bridge, I'd tell you right now, I'd say we win this game 100%. Because it's so negative, the style that they used to play. Under David Moyes, the real difference is there's just a little bit more fluidity. And it seems like there's a little bit more quality when they have the ball. And that's something that Chelsea need to be aware of. Obviously, we have much more quality than Everton do, but you can't switch off at any moment, as you know. In terms of assists, not too many creative outlets. McNeil, Ashley Young, I don't think that's going to be a big problem in this match. So that's what Everton have to offer. Chelsea obviously will have Romeo Lavia back in the fold as well, whether he starts or not. I leave that to you, whether he should start. I personally don't think he will, but it wouldn't surprise me if he started for 45 minutes and then came off. And I've heard people saying that you should have Lavia and then obviously Fernandez. I think Lavia and Fernandez. I don't know, but Lavia in there, and then you invert Caicedo as a right back, like we've been doing with Reece James. Caicedo's great in that role. He has played as a right back at Brighton before, but inverting, obviously going into his natural position in the midfield anyway, it's a position that suits him, and I think that wouldn't surprise me either, because Maresca wants to prioritize the Conference League based on what we've seen recently. So maybe he's going to save Reece James for that. I mean, speaking of Maresca, it's interesting. When we look at the manager at the moment, listen, we've come off a really, really good win against Fulham, a win that we needed. But the connection with the fan base, especially the match-going fan base, seems to be very split. I'm not a fan of Maresca. I don't like him. I don't think he's a great manager. Do I think we can improve under Maresca? Listen, you give any manager better players, I'm sure they'll do better. But I struggle to see a lot of the progressions that other people might argue that we have made. Interesting, though, because in his press conference leading up to the match, a journalist asked Maresca about this, and this is what he had to say. So I'm just going to share this video with you now.
The journey's just starting. If you don't finish top 5 in the Champions League places, as you said, that's now your target. Would it be seen as a failure?
Again, but I think I already answered a few times this one.
And what was that?
That compared to the last 2 years has been not a fail.
Simon?
How many times in the last 2 years Chelsea has been Champions League?
Yeah.
How many?
Yeah.
0. How many times this season? Almost all season. Is an improvement or not? No, it's just, is an improvement or not?
Yeah, well, I suppose it depends where you finish,
Yeah, no, it's already an improvement because we spend all season there. Now, we're going to try our best to finish there, no doubt. We want to finish there, no doubt. We are happy to finish there. Yes, it's enough. No, because we want to compete for titles. But compared to last 2 years, I think it's quite clear that there is an improvement. Now, if you want to see, you see it. If you don't want to see it, you don't see it. Depends in which way. I see that.
So I'm going to try and look at this with an open mind, but at the same time, let's break this down logically. He is right in saying that we have been, in the top 4 the majority of the season. He's not wrong. Maresca's not wrong. But have we improved as a team? Have we improved? The Carabao Cup, we got knocked out early. Last season, we got to the final. That's not an improvement. The FA Cup, we got to the semi-final. We got knocked out early. That's not an improvement. Conference League, you can't put that up against last season because we didn't even have any European competition. So I don't really know how you can compare that. In terms of the Premier League, the argument is that we've been in the top 4 for the majority of the season. If we finish 6th, that is not a progression. That is plateauing. That is regression. There is no doubt in my mind about that. There's even some people thinking we'll finish 7th. So we'll finish even worse. So by every single metric, except the only metric which you can't compare to last season, which was the Conference League, it's a regression. I know he's not getting sacked. I know he isn't. As far as I'm concerned, if you don't finish in the top 4 and you don't win the top 5, and you don't win the Conference League, you should be sacked. It's sackable. It is sackable because it's pathetic. You have an extra space in the league. You don't even have to finish top 4 anymore, and you still can't finish in the Champions League. So I'm sorry, but I just can't agree with Maresca's statement on that. I can't agree with it. I understand where he's coming from to an extent, but I just don't think that. Look, he's not been at Chelsea, so he doesn't know what it's been like. Maybe he does genuinely think there's a progression. I think he does. We've watched this team for much longer. We've been there in the stadium. We've experienced the highs and the lows. I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. If we win all of our games up until the end of the season, cement ourselves as 5th or 6th, I mean, it has to be 5th. Then I will sit here and say we've improved. Do you think we'll do that? Do you think we're going to beat Everton? Okay. You'd hope so. I think the odds are in our favour based on everything I've said. Do you think we will beat Liverpool at home? Already won the Premier League by that point, probably. Do you think we're going to beat Newcastle away? Do you think we're going to beat United at home? Do you think we're going to beat Nottingham Forest away? If the answer is yes, happy days. We have a good chance of finishing the Champions League. If the answer is no to any of those games, especially Nottingham Forest or Newcastle, then very difficult to finish where we want to finish. So that's my take on it. You can let me know if you agree or disagree. Listen, it's all a game of opinions, but logically speaking, I struggle to understand the opinion that we've improved. Do we have a better structure? Yes. Okay, cool. We have more structure than last season. Has the structure improved the individuals though? Has it? Has Cole Palmer improved? Has Reece James improved? Like, can you see a significant improvement with Nicholas Jackson? I think the metrics would say It's a very difficult one to debate. And I just want us to finish there. And if we do, then fair play Maresca, but I'm not seeing it. This is my predicted starting 11 against Everton with Robert Sanchez in goal. Fairly obvious. Cucurella as a left back with Colwell and Chalobah in the middle. Reece James as a right back. Listen, I'm going to guess that Lavia won't start, but he might come on. But I don't think he'll start. Maybe he will. I think there's a good chance he does, but I'm going to predict Reece James. On the right, Fernandez and Caicedo in the midfield. That's obviously our strongest pairing. No problems there. Sancho actually in recent games has been good. You know, made a good impact against Ipswich, scoring that goal. And actually when he come on against Fulham was positive as well. He deserves a start. Neto with that winning goal. Fantastic. Keep it up. Maresca did actually come out and say when speaking about Neto, he said, I think Neto has scored already 4 or 5 goals in the Premier League. And then he said, our wingers, for me, they have to score at the end of the season around 10 goals. For the amount of chances they have every game, 1-to-1 chances. So Pedro is doing well, but no doubt he can do better. And absolutely right. GA needs to go up. Although I do think this is Pedro Neto's best season for GA. Let me know if I'm wrong. Don't have those stats off the top of my head. No, won the game against Fulham. Confidence is high. Let's see a bit more. We need that final push. And Palmer in the middle, as usual. I don't think that will change whatsoever. Tyreek George, though, is a surprise instead of Nicholas Jackson for me. This is something that we spoke about after the Fulham game. A lot of people think that Jackson needs to be dropped. And I agree. Tyreek George, that finish the other day against Fulham, that was a striker's finish. He's come on and played as a striker multiple times and performed now. He deserves the opportunity to shine. He deserves that chance. And Jackson needs to be rested. No point of playing a player who can't put the ball in the back of the net, who's not confident, doesn't have that conviction. I see more conviction in Tyreek George at the moment in this Chelsea team than I do in Nicholas Jackson, which is thoroughly disappointing because I expected Jackson to have a great run until the end of the season, and it just hasn't worked out like that whatsoever. So that is my predicted 11. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of those players that I've picked. I think that's a pretty strong lineup by our standards. Obviously, the goalkeeper is always a weak point, and you don't really know what to expect from certain other players. But generally speaking, we've got to take this game seriously. We've got to take Everton seriously. Do the job by half time, and then you can start to rotate. Get a 2-3 goal lead. We won 6-0 last year. You're telling me we can't win by 2 or 3 goals when they're missing their best centre-back? Calvert-Lewin's not available. I know they've still got Beto. Everton is a team that we have to go out and beat, but ultimately, you just don't know what to expect from us. So we'll see what happens. My score prediction for this game, I am going to predict a Chelsea win, a 3-1 Chelsea win. We have such a great record against Everton. I think that will continue. Let me know in the chat what you think, if you agree or disagree. Subscribe to the channel as well, guys. And we will catch up very, very soon.